What's up, cucks? It's the hater back again with video 2 of the day, motherfuckers. Now we're going to talk about Survivor Series 2019, which was the event that's going to determine which brand is superior. Will it be Raw? Could it perhaps be SmackDown? Or maybe it'll be NXT? You understand what I'm saying? So, without further ado, since we did a nice little long intro in the NXT War Games video, let's just get right to this some bitch right here, right? So, apparently there was like 1,000 pre-show matches that I did not know existed. And they all counted for purposes of scoring points for one of the 3 brands. So the first match we had was the SmackDown team of Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode eliminating the Street Profits last in what appeared to be some form of Battle Royal-esque tag team match, right? Who gave a rat's ass? Who gave a rat's ass about this? This screams pre-show all over. I don't even know who else was involved up in this bitch. So who cares, you know? Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, them winning means absolutely nothing. No one cares. Next, we had an inter-brand triple threat match for the NXT Cruiserweight Championship now, motherfucker. So is that what happens? If someone from NXT wins it, it just becomes if some NXT jobber wins like the IC title, do they become like the NXT IC champ? I don't even know what the hell would happen, right? But all of a sudden, the WWE Cruiserweight title is the NXT Cruiserweight title. This seems like a stupid-ass change, but we've talked about this before, so I won't bore you guys with it again. Lio Rush versus Tozawa and Kalisto. This match has pre-show written all over it, and that's why, motherfucks, it was on the pre-show. So Lio Rush defeated Kira Tozawa and Kalisto and retained his Cruiserweight Championship. Now, the third match, the third pre-show match, this is weird. The fact that this is on the pre-show speaks volumes, motherfuckers. This was the triple threat tag team match pitting the Viking Raiders, Eric and Ivar, who are the Raw champs, of course, versus Big E and Kofi Kingston, the New Day, who are the tag champs, versus the Undisputed Era, Bobby Fish and Cuck O'Reilly. Now, all right, Bobby Fish is old, man. Let's just say it like it is. You know, he's not old to the point where like he'd be like an old dude, but clearly he's not doing very well. Like, I didn't watch the pre-show matches, obviously, but I did watch the what's it called, the War Games match. So maybe he was, just saving himself for this match. This man is like 40 years old, and it's just it's done, man. It's done. It's done. You know, Bobby Fish. He's obviously the 4th guy in fucking Undisputed Era, and so he can go to hell for that reason. Cuck O'Reilly. Enough said. Cuck O'Reilly, right? These guys are jobbers. They were a big deal tag team in the Indies because they were fighting teams like Young Bucks. But now that you're fighting like in the WWE, where you'll be wrestling real teams like Akam and Razor, and even the New Day to some extent, right? It's gonna be hard for you young ones. Even the Viking Raiders, you know what I mean? Like they were in the Indies too, but they were at least big dudes. They were awesome. So the Viking Raiders win this match apparently. And the other thing of note here, other than Bobby Fish's age and Cuck O'Reilly himself, and just to be clear, it'd be one thing I'm sure Bobby Fish can go. It's not that like he's obviously like an athletic guy. There's a lot about it. But my point is this: not last night, but the night before Survivor Series, Saturday, I noticed that Bobby Fish, first of all, he keeps wrestling with his shirt on, number 1, and 2, he just kept doing these he had these moments where he's just like grabbing someone's leg and he's like pretending to attack someone, and it just screamed, maybe I'm looking too much into it, but it just screamed of this guy being like protected by the other younger guys that can still wrestle pretty well. So, I don't know. I always like Bobby Fish. I hope he makes a comeback. Cuck O'Reilly, enough about him. The real thing of note here is this, motherfuckers. The complete, and this is going to be a theme of this show, the complete mid-carding of Kofi Kingston once again. Kofi Kingston was WWE champion like 2 months ago or a month ago, motherfuckers. And now he's on the pre-show. You understand what that means? This would be the equivalent of someone like the Big Show, let's say, losing his WWF title back in the day, and then next week being on Sunday Night Heat, wrestling like, I don't know, Crash Holly in a serious match, and losing that match. So the Viking Raiders just beat the former WWE champion in a pre-show match. Keep that in mind. When next time someone says, Kofi deserved it, he's such a hardworking guy. If he deserved it, people would be outraged by the fact that this guy's on the pre-show. But because... God damn it, this damn video pissing me off. Sorry about that, cucks. The video that I just recorded about NXT TakeOver uploaded, as it often happens on this channel. I promise that's the last time this is going to happen. I cannot tolerate that anymore in my wonderful videos. However, while I was I just went to upload this video, I noticed that from up until now, my entire, all my videos have been categorized under, people and blogging or something instead of comedy, which is what they obviously are. So anyways, it is what it is. Let's move on. Where were we up in this bitch? Oh yeah, I was saying that people would be completely outraged for Kofi Kingston if they gave a shit about him being held down, right? The facts are what they are. The neckbeard smarks only care in passing. Like, they care when they're told to care, and they're like, oh, I've always loved Kofi Kingston. Well, do you love him now, motherfuckers? Do you love him now that he's a pre-show jobber again? That his career has gone from like a 10 out of 10 to a 0 out of 10? Just like that? Yeah. Oh, but he's a tag champion. Doesn't matter, motherfuckers. Doesn't matter. It's not impressive if Triple H becomes WWE European champion after he's been like a 7,000 time WWE champion. Do you understand what I'm saying? You do. So go fuck yourselves. Next, the show actually started, and we had the women's Survivor Series 5-on-5-on-5 match. Now, one thing I didn't like about this, but I understand it had to be done, is that it was like a triple threat type scenario, you know? Like, there's 3 people in the ring. I don't like that. Like, you should have just had it, a one-on-one thing, or you can tag anyone else. You can tag anyone in, basically, you know? But I understand the logistical hurdles of that. So, it is what it is. So, we had the team of Rhea Ripley, motherfuckers. Remember her? She beat the women's champion in a 4-on-2 handicap match, basically. Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Candice LeRae, Io Shirai, and Toni Storm, who are now all friends, even though yesterday half these people were on the opposing teams from each other. And Beth Phoenix said specifically, Io Shirai and Candice LeRae really hate each other. All of a sudden, they're friends again, motherfuckers, because there's no consistency whatsoever. Versus Team Raw, Charlotte Flair, Natty, Asuka, Kairi Sane, Sarah Logan, who we haven't seen in like about 3 years, and Team SmackDown, which is Sasha Banks, Carmella, Dana Brooke, Lacey Evans, and Nikki Cross. Now, what's there to say about this match? It went on for a fucking eternity. It was unnecessarily long, in my opinion. I thought this would be one of those like women's matches where all of a sudden they just have these pin after pin after pin, and it lasts like 10 minutes. So, first up, Nikki Cross was pinned by Bianca Belair, as was Sarah Logan, motherfuckers. Then, Carmella, that's right, got eliminated by Charlotte Flair when Charlotte Flair hit the natural selection on her. Understandable. Kairi Sane got cucked out by Sasha Banks. Asuka defeated Dana Brooke. Lacey Evans, this was an important part though. Charlotte Flair pushes Asuka first, right? She pretty much tries to intimidate her and then slams her. Asuka comes back, spits green mist in her eyes. The fans cheer for her because it looked as if Asuka was standing up for herself. And now I think I saw on WWE.com, it's being spun as if it's Charlotte will address Asuka after her betrayal. How about the fact that Charlotte attacked her first? So Asuka spat in her face, which left, Charlotte vulnerable for a woman's right. Lacey Evans pinned her just like that. Then Asuka also just left. So Asuka calls like a -2 for Team Raw, I think, right? She just left. She's like, fuck this, I'm leaving. Kairi Sane's gone, I'm gone, dog. So then, also, at a certain point, I think before this, fucking, what are they called? Candice LeRae and Io Shirai were just injured randomly in the beginning, not the beginning of the match, but no one was eliminated yet. They just got injured. They both got injured after being thrown out of the ring. And they both left. So you thought that they were gone, and I'm just like, all right, are you kidding me? How many insurmountable odds is Rhea Ripley gonna fucking overcome, man? This bitch is always 2 partners down and is always winning, you know? So I was like, I hope it doesn't happen here. Anyways, Lacey Evans got eliminated by Natty. You understand me? And Toni Storm got cucked by Natty and Sasha Banks. They did like a sharpshooter sharpshooter bank statement, 2-on-1 move. Took her out. That was the first person that was eliminated from NXT officially. At this point, it was 3 on, or sorry, what was it? 3 on 1-on-1 with NXT. 2 of their people weren't even eliminated. They just got like carried out of the ring. So they took out one, and then immediately the next one that comes in is what's her face? Bianca Belair. They double team her too. They hit the heart attack on her. The announcers don't even realize it's called the heart attack, but they hit the heart attack and pinned Bianca Belair. So now it's Natalya, Sasha Banks, and Rhea Ripley. Sasha Banks beats Natalya, and it's Sasha versus Rhea Ripley. Now you know where this is going. You know Sasha's not getting a win here. Pin this bitch. You know what I'm saying? Rhea Ripley is wrestling Sasha. Sasha's like, she gets her in the bank statement, switches up on the other side of the bank statement, and then eventually Candice LeRae and Io Shirai come back to interfere. Candice distracts the referee, and apparently she and Io Shirai are like best friends once more. Io Shirai does a springboard dropkick, which folds Sasha Banks in half. Rhea Ripley gets up, hits the Riptide, wins 1, 2, 3. Sole survivors, Rhea Ripley, Candice, and Io Shirai. But realistically, it was just Rhea Ripley. She was the sole survivor. She was the MVP of this match, and she was the MVP of this weekend. So I heard Hulk Hogan's coming back. Maybe he should wrestle Rhea Ripley for greatest of all time glory, because Rhea Ripley did something that not even Hulk Hogan could do, man. This is ridiculous. This broad comes out of nowhere and just beats like every woman there is to beat in one night. It's preposterous. Anyways, that happened. The match was nothing special. In my opinion, it went on too long. Then we have Roderick Strong, AJ Styles, and Nakamura. Now, the problem with this match is that it was very similar to the Pete Dunne, Damian Priest, and Killian Dane match, and that they kept doing these dance-like moves, man. They're wrestling like they're dancing. Just flying kicks, flying nonsense. And it got me thinking, I'm like, man, like, AJ Styles and Nakamura main event at WrestleMania. And for some reason, even though I like AJ Styles a lot, for some reason, it just didn't feel like a main event, you know? Like Nakamura and AJ Styles just does not feel like a main event type match. And it wasn't the last match, but it doesn't feel like they should be feuding for the WWE title. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. But yet here we are, right? And then a year or two later, boom, just like this, motherfuckers. Just like this, we're back to where at least where Nakamura belongs, in the mid card. They fit right here, man. They fit just fine right here. Roderick Strong beats them. AJ Styles, the match ends with AJ Styles doing a phenomenal forearm, and then Roderick Strong does what people should be doing in every triple threat match, and that's wait for someone to hit a finisher and then throw the other guy out. He throws AJ Styles out, pins Nakamura, wins 1, 2, 3. Celebrates like he won something important. I guess he did. It's the biggest match of his career, one could argue. I mean, not one could argue, it's the biggest match of his career. It's like his first WWE pay-per-view, and like a big pay-per-view, and he beat both the US and the IC champion. That's a big deal, motherfuckers. But it's not that big of a deal because he beat one of the people that he beat. The person he pinned is Nakamura. So it is what it is. So now let's do some math. Some matharoo. That's 3 for NXT, 1 for fucking Raw, and 1 for SmackDown. So it's 3, 1, 1, motherfuckers. So as far as I can tell, NXT at worst at this point is going to tie. Because there's only, what's it called? 2 more interpromotional matches. So if NXT loses them both, they're going to tie. If NXT wants to win, all they're going to do is, for example, just set it up so that in the match, in the Survivor Series men's match, just throw the match, keep everyone healthy. If SmackDown wins, have Shayna Baszler go and lose, get tapped out, let's say, by Becky Lynch. Then they win by 3-2-2 if they care about brand supremacy. So this was not booked properly, in my opinion. But that's neither here nor there, and it didn't really matter, to be honest. So anyways, next up, we have Adam Cole, baby, versus Pete Dunne. Adam Cole shouldn't be walking. Kayfabe-wise, he should be dead after what Ciampa did to him from the cage. But not only is he walking, but he beats Pete Dunne. The finish of this match was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life. If anyone's been playing Death Stranding recently, right, it reminded me a lot of walking around in Death Stranding carrying a package. Because what happened was, what's his face? Pete Dunne goes for the bitter end. Adam Cole counters it into like what's going to essentially be like a sunset flip type pin. But instead, he just does the Panama Sunrise, which of course anybody knows what that is. The Canadian Destroyer, basically. You just like, basically, just imagine this. Imagine Hardcore Holly picking someone up for the Alabama Slam. And then while he's holding them up, they just do a Destroyer. This is physically impossible. The way that this was done is physically impossible. You could argue that in some scenario, if someone is just incredibly strong, they can flip another man over with them. Like, if I had to do this to like a 4-year-old who's like 30 pounds, I could do it. I could flip over a 4-year-old. I could manhandle him or her in a Canadian Destroyer. But no one can go from zero momentum being held up in like an Alabama Slam type situation to just countering that into a flip pile driver. They were trying to sell it as if like he used the momentum of the bitter end to do it, but it just didn't feel like that. It just didn't seem like that at all. So basically, in other words, Pete Dunne picks up Adam Cole, and then Pete Dunne, while holding Adam Cole, decides to just take a bump on his head. And as he's getting up, Adam Cole goes off the rope and hits the last shot from behind and pins him 1, 2, 3. So he retains his title. This was stupid. Made no sense. Adam Cole just, like, who cares if he's champion? He just got put through a table by another dude who now, of course, is going to be the number 1 contender. But you knew that Adam Cole was going to win. No way Pete Dunne was going to become NXT, like the real NXT champ. That makes no sense. Next, we had Daniel Bryan versus The Fiend. The story of this match was primarily that Daniel Bryan is re-embracing the yes movement, fuckers. That's right. Daniel Bryan is now saying yes again, and he's soon, if not already, going to turn face. Eventually, Daniel Bryan hits the flying knee, the move that beat Cena, and that's what I still call it, the move that beat Cena. So, which I think would have been a better name than the flying knee. Anyways, he hits the knee. The Fiend kicks out. Daniel Bryan like has this look of like determination on his face, like I'm not gonna give up. I'm still gonna beat this guy's ass. And Michael Cole or Vic Joseph or one of these idiots says Daniel Bryan is just as flabbergasted as the rest of us are that the Fiend kicked out. No one is flabbergasted that the Fiend kicked out, moron. The Fiend has kicked out of like 17 curb stomps in a row. So what the fuck? Why wouldn't he kick out of like 1 flying knee or 18 flying knees for that matter? It is what it is. Daniel Bryan went for like another flying knee, and what's his face? Bray Wyatt caught him in the air with a mandible claw, which looked kind of cool because he intercepted him with it, right? And then they didn't even realize, Michael Cole said something like, "Oh, he caught him! Oh, he caught him!" Right? And then when they zoomed in, he was like, "Oh, mandible claw!" And he didn't like make him tap out, he made him pass out, I guess, but it was a pin. Like he just kept his fingers in the guy's mouth, shoulders were down, he got pinned. Simple as that, bitches. Next, we have the match that I normally would be the most excited for. Except here's the problem with this match. Oh, also, I should make a note of this. I was going to say this earlier, but I completely forgot. This was something that I noticed while I was watching this pay-per-view last night, I guess this morning, really, really early. I looked at first of all, there's 15 people in these matches, right? This is like, if you combine these 2 matches, you have like 1 Royal Rumble, you understand? This is a big match. And I went through all the women in the women's 5-on-5-on-5 match. So we have Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Candice LeRae, Io Shirai, Toni Storm, and then Charlotte Flair, Natalya, Asuka, Kairi Sane, Sarah Logan, and Sasha Banks, Carmella, Dana Brooke, Lacey Evans, and Nikki Cross. The only one here that has not been in NXT is Natalya, like who has not legitimately been in NXT. You know, I know she's had a few matches there with Charlotte and shit like that, but like legit, she hasn't been in NXT. I think she was part of like to crown the first NXT Women's Champion, but just like Jinder Mahal was like part of the first ever NXT Men's Tournament. The point is, like, the only person here that isn't a very new wrestler is Natalya. Everyone else is part of this NXT era, right? Whereas with the men's team, you have plenty of people, right? Like Roman Reigns, he never really was in NXT. Braun Strowman just skipped NXT. Fucking Mustafa Ali, for other reasons, skipped NXT. Then you have, what's his face? Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, right? Two people that didn't have to go to NXT because they've been around for a while, motherfuckers. The point I'm trying to make is this, that all the women are new wrestlers. Like, they're all like young in their career, so to speak, right? Mickie James is like 38, and they're like, oh, she's an old bag. And I'm like, she's an old bag. Are you, what? You have Batista and Triple H wrestling, and Mickie James is like 38. She's old? Are you kidding me? Bobby Fish is 40, and they talk about him, all these young guys. He's 40, man. You know? That's what I'm saying. It's ridiculous. All the women are like, this would have made sense a few years ago when the emphasis was on having attractive and young women. Now, since the majority of these broads are not attractive and are not young, then what's the point? You know, why are they all like part of this post NXT era, right? What could it be? Could it be that they're just like better wrestlers? There's only one. I can't think of anybody else in the roster that has been on NXT other than Natalya. Everyone else is like an NXT jobber. You know, you would think that like a Beth Phoenix or one of these broads would have stayed around. And I get it. There's other reasons why the women probably don't want to stay. Like Beth Phoenix wants to go have kids. You know, she can't have kids when she's 45, so she's gonna go do it when she can, right? And that might mean she quits wrestling or something. I understand that. But my concern is very simply this, that because these women are so young and so new to wrestling, this idea, this narrative, right, that women's revolution is like happening, it's not really a revolution. It's just like it's like a new crop of talented women, according to kayfabe, that are just kicking ass. So now, let's take that, put that in a compartment somewhere, and use that in the context of the men's match. The problem I have with this match, and I love Survivor Series, and my favorite part of Survivor Series, obviously, is the Survivor Series matches. But this one was the one that I was the least excited about. You know when you watch a Survivor Series match or like a bragging rights match in like a few years after it happened, and you're like, oh, like I had a lot of big hopes for, what's his name, Tyler Rex or whatever, Tyler Rex. I had a lot of big hopes for Ezekiel Jackson. I had a lot of big hopes for this guy and for that guy, and a lot of them are jobbers now, you know? Like, I feel like when we look back on this match, we're going to think to ourselves, wow, it was Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, and that's it. Everyone else is a jobber. Seriously. I'm not even joking. And Keith Lee, sorry. Keith Lee and Walter are cool too. But other than that, everyone else is kind of a jobber, motherfuckers. And I'll be honest. And I'm going to talk about it as I talk about this match. Now, this match made absolutely no fucking sense, right? And also, it meant nothing because in the grander scheme of things, who gave a shit, right? First up, it's Walter. Walter's just beating that ass, right? Walter's doing what Walter needs to do. He's whooping ass. Drew McIntyre eventually, Walter's beating everyone's ass. Drew McIntyre hits, what's it called? A Claymore and pins him. 1, 2, 3, motherfuckers. That was okay, I guess. Walter needed to go. If you're not going to have Walter be like the sole survivor or something like that, the best way to get him out is to just have him get like destroyed by like a finishing move early. That, in some ironic way, that protects him. You know what I'm saying, motherfuckers? And then the match became ridiculous. All of a sudden, we have to deal with people like Shorty G and Kevin Owens up in this bitch, right? Kevin Owens, who wrestled in NXT the night before, now is representing Raw in brand supremacy. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, motherfucks. So, there you have it. Kevin Owens takes out Shorty G. Shorty G did have some moments in this match. He had like a little cool little sequence. Did his little Chaos Theory move. That was fun. I enjoyed that. Kevin Owens eventually gets destroyed by Tommaso Ciampa. I think Tommaso Ciampa hits the draping DDT, the what's it called? The Willow's Bell. The Bell's End is more like it. Am I right, motherfuckers? The Bell's End, or the Ball of Cocks, whatever. So he does that. I automatically assume we have Tommaso Ciampa in the match. We have, what's it called? Randy Orton in this match. The only logical spot that this match needs to have is Tommaso Ciampa goes for the Willow's End, or the whatever, the Bell's End, whatever, the hanging cock, which is his draping DDT. He goes for the hanging cock, and Randy Orton counters it and throws him in the ropes and does a real draping DDT as Michael Cole yells, "Vintage Orton!" You know what I mean? And just to show this jobber, this is how it's done, kid. You understand what I'm saying? So, yeah, that was a little weird. Goddamn bastards. Uber Eats and try to order a smoothie because I want something sweet and relatively nutritious. These motherfuckers canceled my order. So they can go fuck themselves. Fuck you, Smoothie King, you some bitch. Anyways, luckily they have other options, motherfuckers. So anyways, that's what the spot that should have definitely happened. I don't know why he didn't. It's kind of annoying, you know? But anyways, Damian Priest comes in thinking he's hot shit. Randy Orton RKOs him immediately, as he should. You know, Damian Priest, this whole like, I'm a young guy who's like hot shit thing shouldn't work with Randy Orton. Number one, he's not that much younger than Randy Orton. I think Damian Priest is probably like in his mid-30s. Randy's like in his late 30s, so it's whatever, you know? Then Randy Orton gets eliminated by Matt Riddle via like a roll-up, essentially. And Matt Riddle's like, he's like surprised that he just pinned Randy Orton. Randy Orton, before he leaves, decides to RKO him. Baron Corbin pins Matt Riddle after the RKO, so that was great. Braun Strowman gets counted out. Braun Strowman, oh my God, please release this guy. Braun Strowman is one of the worst wrestlers in the history of wrestling. You know, this whole like, I can't even believe that this guy was ever taken seriously as a #1 contender. It's ridiculous, man. Like people are like, no, this guy's better than Big Show. This guy could not wipe the Big Show's ass. The Big Show's one of the best wrestlers ever. He's like one of the most charismatic dudes of all time. And he's like a legit good big man. And Braun Strowman just runs into things and does a drop kick. And people are like, oh, you did a drop kick. Oh, who gives a shit, man? He has like a boring finisher. He's got boring mannerisms. He's got a boring look. He's just boring. He's just like one of the most boring people ever. And every time he's in a match like this, he just gets counted out or DQ'd. Or he's like retarded. He's like a person who I'm supposed to be afraid of, but he's so stupid, kayfabe-wise, that like he just runs into things or gets DQ'd, doesn't understand like his limitations, you know? Like you know when a big wrestler picks up a small wrestler and wants to slam them in the post outside, and the small wrestler always wriggles behind their back and pushes them into the post, and that's like the only way the small wrestler can do damage to the big wrestler. It's either that or the big wrestler runs into something. You would think if you were a smart big wrestler, you wouldn't run into things and you wouldn't try to slam people head first into the post in easily counterable situations. It is ridiculous, motherfuckers. You understand me? So anyways, Braun Strowman gets eliminated. Ricochet does his moves. He has his spots. And then he gets hit by a fucking End of Days and gets pinned by King Corbin, who I thought was actually pretty good in this match. Mustafa Ali, I think this was the first time Mustafa Ali and Seth Rollins both came in the match. Mustafa Ali is just beating ass. He's doing some pretty cool things. Mustafa Ali has some pretty cool spots. Seth Rollins like pushes him up almost like so that Mustafa Ali leapfrogs him, right? Mustafa Ali just lands on the other side and X Factors someone else, you know? And then eventually Baron Corbin just like, I don't know why, but he's like talking shit to Mustafa. Mustafa's like, leave me alone. Gets back in the ring and gets curb stomped and pinned by Rollins. Whatever, right? Then eventually, some more Roman Reigns beats Drew McIntyre. That was cool. And at this point, I think the numbers are as such. Roman Reigns and Corbin, right? Versus Rollins from Raw. He's the only Raw guy. And Ciampa and Keith Lee from fucking, what's it called? What's it called, goddammit? NXT, you know? And I'm thinking to myself, man, obviously NXT can't win this one because then what's the point of the last match? Just don't have it. NXT wins the Brent Supremacy. But I'm thinking to myself, man, like Tommaso Ciampa and Keith Lee are both being positioned as big deals in NXT. And a lot of the people in this match are jobbers, man. Like Shorty G and Mustafa Ali representing a brand. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. It's fucking stupid. Why would you let your honor rest on the hands of Shorty G? Why would you do that to yourself? Doesn't make no sense. You should have put like Rowan or someone like that. Like, where's Rowan? Like a big dude. But anyways, it's neither here nor there. So because Baron Corbin, like, I guess was pissed off at Mustafa Ali, and he just talks a little bit of shit to Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns eliminates Baron Corbin by spearing him and having Ciampa pin him. So now, like, Roman Reigns makes it so he is an underdog once again. Now, John Cena, for all the times John Cena has overcome the odds, he's never purposefully made himself the underdog. Roman Reigns makes himself the underdog. So that's kind of fucked up. What's it called? After that, Rollins takes on Ciampa, and Rollins is fighting Keith Lee, who is awesome. I love Keith Lee. And he goes for like a little cross-body type thing. Keith Lee catches him, hits him with a little Keith Lee jackhammer, pins him 1, 2, 3. Then it's Keith Lee versus Roman Reigns. Now, obviously, Roman Reigns is going to beat Keith Lee. I mean, enough is enough, motherfuckers. Keith Lee is cool, but come on. You can't come in and beat like the guy who's main evented like 4 of the last 5 WrestleManias. That's ridiculous. You can't beat the guy that just beat Undertaker. So, Keith Lee has a good fight. He goes for a moonsault, misses, gets speared. 1, 2, 3. Roman Reigns wins. Sole survivor, motherfuckers. That was a fun little match, except for the fact that like the predictable Braun Strowman got counted out nonsense and everything else that happened, like fucking Baron Corbin's antics generally. He was good in the match, but his character wasn't too great because fucking Roman Reigns eliminated him, and they're supposed to be on the same team. That's just stupid. It doesn't make any sense. So anyways, and I mean, I'm aware that they hate each other, but still, you got to like put your differences aside. And after the match, maybe, for example, Roman Reigns can spear him or something like that. I don't know. It would have been better if the two of them were sole survivors, and then like Baron Corbin like puts on his cape and gets a scepter, and Roman Reigns just spears him out of anger, something like that. Because you can't reconcile Roman Reigns is still pissed at Baron Corbin with Io Shirai and Candice LeRae are best friends all of a sudden. So that's the problem. Next, we had Brock Lesnar versus Rey Mysterio. This match was fucking great. I enjoyed this very much. And the reason I enjoyed this was because it felt like a real wrestling match. Oh, when I didn't see Dolph Ziggler and Tyler Breeze have a 10-star match. You did it, motherfuckers. Because I said it felt like a real wrestling match. It had a story that has been developed. And it had 2 legendary wrestlers, both who are awesome, right? The reason this match was fantastic was because, it was almost exclusively because of the story that it told with Rey Mysterio and Dominic, right? Brock Lesnar's just beating the shit out of Rey Mysterio. Dominic comes in. This is the end. Dominic comes in to throw in the towel. He says, please, Brock, please, like, don't, like, emasculate my father anymore, please. Brock Lesnar doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't give a shit about your kids. So Brock Lesnar is approaching Dominic to whoop his ass. Rey Mysterio comes in from behind and low blows Brock Lesnar. And this is when the momentum shifts. Michael Cole becomes a good announcer for the next few minutes. And he's like, Ray, with a low blow, right? And all of a sudden the fans go crazy. And it felt like the tides were turning, motherfuckers. It felt like Rey Mysterio finally had a shot. And it was going to happen like that. Like the match was going to progress like that. Then Dominic hits Brock Lesnar in the nuts once again, in the ball's eye, as Marinal would say. He low blows him again. So Brock Lesnar is completely like destroyed. Both of his testicles are probably ruptured, kayfabe, right? Rey Mysterio gets the quote-unquote lead pipe and starts beating the shit out of Lesnar. Obviously, if it were a real lead pipe, that could like put someone down for good. So he hits Brock Lesnar with a lead pipe a few times. Then he hits him the last time. Brock Lesnar ends up in the 619 position. Rey and Dominic deliver a simultaneous 619 from both sides. That was fucking awesome, man. It's just great symbolism. The father and son both doing the father's finishing move on the guy that has beaten the shit out of their family, including their godfather, Cain Velasquez. So, after this, Dominic goes up to the top turnbuckle. And for a second, I'm like, man, this is the same Dominic that CM Punk bullied and like scared when CM Punk was in wrestling. This Dominic would beat the shit out of CM Punk in real life. Try doing that now, CM douche. You know what I'm saying? Dominic does like a relatively shitty looking frog splash, but it's forgivable because he's never been like in the ring as far as I know. He's never been in WWE, like legit. So the fact that he was able to do this in front of all these people, being a relatively young guy with no experience, I'm really happy and impressed for him. Then Rey Mysterio does a frog splash. And unfortunately, Brock Lesnar has been booked so strong that I knew there was really no chance that Brock was going to lose to this. But part of me still hoped. I was like, oh, man, what if he does? That'd be great. Wouldn't that be a great story? No. Brock kicks out, destroys Dominic, F5's Rey Mysterio, and pins him and wins. It was awesome. I want to see more of this. Just like that, the finish of this match, starting with like Dominic being like, no, Brock, please, Brock, till the end, was better than everything we had seen this entire weekend, motherfuckers. Last and definitely least was NXT champion Shayna Baszler Becky Lynch and Bayley. Oh my God. Who gives a rat's ass? The problem with this match, motherfucks, is that this match was the main event. Can you believe that? I am sick of this. I remember a year or so ago, it was inconceivable that women would main event any pay-per-view, let alone main event pay-per-view after pay-per-view after pay-per-view, especially like some of the most important pay-per-views like Survivor Series and more importantly WrestleMania. And keeping in mind the actual story, the actual arc of what was happening here. The match pitted Becky Lynch, motherfuckers, who has been presented kayfabe-wise as the most legitimate, most important, and most winningest wrestler this year by far. I think she's lost like once or twice. Like, it's stupid as shit. You know, she's lost so few times that she feels like Hulk Hogan. You know, the only person that could beat Becky Lynch, kayfabe-wise, is Rhea Ripley, because only she could beat like everyone that she beat in the last 2 days. You know, it doesn't make sense. Becky Lynch is just a loser. Becky Lynch just, I don't like her at all, and she is not entertaining. Now, apparently some people were expecting Ronda Rousey or CM Punk to make a surprise run-in. That's what this review that I'm reading says. CM Punk would run into the women's match. I guess it would make sense. He couldn't cut it with the men in the UFC, so now he has to go to women's wrestling, you know, because he's not legit enough to be in men's wrestling either, you know what I'm saying? So, long story short, Bayley goes for the elbow drop and gets Kiri Fuda up in this bitch. So let's do a little tree diagram real fast, motherfuckers. Shayna Baszler just beat Bayley and fucking Becky Lynch, the two champions, right? Yesterday, Rhea Ripley neutralized the NXT UK champion and then beat the NXT champion Shayna Baszler, the NXT Women's Champion Shayna Baszler, and was able to hold off Bianca Belair and Io Shirai. Today, she was a sole survivor of a 15-women match. I mean, I say sole survivor, but technically, I guess Candice LeRae and Io Shirai survived too, but they really didn't. So, think about that, motherfuckers. Think about how much more strongly Rhea Ripley has been positioned than everyone else. You have these broads. You have these broads that are being presented as like the best wrestlers ever, right? Like, you can make an argument now that Rhea Ripley is the most valuable wrestler in WWE. Forget Roman Reigns and Rollins. Who gives a shit about them? They can't even main event. They can't even main event WrestleMania. Seth Rollins is an opening match in WrestleMania, and Rhea Ripley just beat the woman that main evented WrestleMania. Transitive property, motherfuckers. Look it up. So aside from this nonsense, which is whatever because I don't care about the match anyways, the general fact that NXT won the night, if you will, that they won the feud, is ridiculous. What's next? What's next for Survivor Series? Maybe next year, it'll be 205 Live looking for a little bit of respect. Yeah, maybe Drake Maverick beats the returning Rock. Why the fuck not? Why not, man? Maybe you have Arya Daivari beat like Stone Cold in his first match in 10 years. Why not? Why not when you can have jobbers come in there? Like an entire team in a 3-team match is just NXT jobbers where the champion is Adam Cole. Adam Cole cannot curl 100 pounds. There's no way with two arms. There's no way he can. He's a puny dude, man. And this guy is like in the same division as a monster like Keith Lee or a legitimate fighter like Matt Riddle. And I'm supposed to believe him as the champion? And then, not only that, I'm supposed to believe that the brand that Adam Cole is champion on is the best brand. Preposterous, motherfuckers. It would have been totally fine if SmackDown won the night and NXT just came out looking strong. I understand they're apparently afraid of AEW more than they should be, in my opinion, because I think that's almost run its course, let's be honest. AEW is a few months away from being TNA, but that's neither here nor there. When Jericho goes on tour, it's done. It's over. Nobody's going to tune in to watch Wardlow and like fucking Darby Allin. Nobody cares about those jobbers. So, but clearly NXT is upset at, what's it called? At AEW, and they should be because there's a lot of viewers that they would get. Presumably they would get a lot of those AEW viewers. I would watch NXT if I didn't watch AEW and Survivor. Like when Survivor ends, the season of Survivor ends, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna log right back in and get right to it, motherfuckers. And watch both. So, but because of that problem, motherfuckers, we find ourselves in a scenario where now NXT is the dominant brand, and they didn't just win by one, barely. It was like 4-2-1. Like they won more matches than Raw and SmackDown combined. It'd be one thing if it was like if NXT won 3 matches, the other 2 won 2, and it was close. They won more than them combined. It's not even close who the superior brand is according to this show. And for that reason, and the fact that it was chock full of jobbers, because if you're gonna have a match with 15 people, some of them are gonna be jobbers. Like Keith Lee is awesome. Walter is awesome. Roman Reigns is cool. Randy Orton is cool. That's it. Everyone else in that match, including Seth Rollins and even Drew McIntyre, who should be WWE champion but he's not, are jobbers. They can get the fuck out and piss off. This pay-per-view felt like shit. It did not feel like a Survivor Series. When you think of great Survivor Series teams in the past, this will not be a Survivor Series that stands the test of time. That's all I gotta say about that. Now, if you'll excuse me, my smoothie's probably almost here, so I'm gonna get that smoothie, and I'm gonna watch some Raw. Motherfuckers! So look forward for the next video, bitches.